Lord Robert Cecil had lived through it all. He had worked with Smuts and Woodrow Wilson on the writing of the Covenant of the League of Nations, and through all those years between the wars, struggled to keep it strong and effective. It was, they said, the war for democracy, the war to end all war. But soon they saw the glamour had gone forever from combat, to be replaced by a grotesque new technology of destruction, embracing aerial bombing and mustard gas. The casualty figures after a major battle would look like the population statistic for a large city. An entire generation of Europe's youth was wiped out. It was parade's end, wrote Ford Madox Ford. And there were to be no more parades. After 4 years of Holocaust and torment, the world was screaming out its revulsion to war.
In the generation after 1945, over 1 billion people were to change their allegiance. More than 50 new countries were to assert their pride and independence as sovereign states. These were the events of 1945, and threaded through their story is, of course, the story of San Francisco. No diplomatic gathering in history has ever captured the hopes of all the world as did the organizing conference of the United Nations when it opened on April the 25th, 1945. The representatives of 50 countries assembled and the conference began. They agreed on a procedure, moved into committee, and started to write the charter. They made a General Assembly in which all United Nations member countries would have an equal vote. They created a Security Council to keep the peace, with permanent seats for America, Russia, Britain, France, and China, and based its power on the rule of unanimity of the permanent members. They fashioned a trusteeship council to help certain colonies to independence, and an economic and social council. They created the office of Secretary General and set down the duties of the Secretariat. On October the 24th, 1945, the United Nations, as we know it today, began its official existence. And the Charter became a treaty, legally binding on the nations that signed it. It began with these words: "We, the peoples of the United Nations, determined to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow to mankind, and to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, in the equal rights of men and women, and of nations large and small, and to employ international machinery for the promotion of the economic and social advancement of all peoples, have resolved to combine our efforts to accomplish these aims."
And that day, it fell to Britain's Lord Robert Cecil to pronounce the Amen.
The League is dead. Long live the United Nations.
You have an increasing authoritarian regime where protesters are being rounded up and arrested, where lawyers are being attacked, TV stations are being closed down, and every opposition leader in the country is now either behind bars or being persecuted by the government. So
Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change assesses the risks and options for societies. Its latest report states it is extremely likely humans are the dominant cause of warming in the past 60 years.